for what you do to a lot of young people in this area. I was reading the article in this week's paper where the lady who wrote the article put down a quote that you said that said, "I do not feel worthy. I was just a coach because I enjoyed it." I want to tell you here tonight, you were more than just a coach to us. Because I can tell you right now, my greatest heroes in life are those that take time out of their busy life to work with the young people. Those are my heroes. Raymond worked with a lot of young people. And the thing about it, he taught us more than just baseball. He taught us how to be team players. He taught us about sportsmanship. And he taught us that winning was not every game, that it was just a time for us to get together and play baseball. Man, if we could have more coaches like that, because you see so many things on television today with coaches and dads and moms just having these knockdown, drag-out fights on the ball field. And when I was growing up, you never saw that. We just had fun. And Raymond helped us to have fun. So you made a big impression on me. You made a big impression on a lot of young people here. You are worthy for this, because you're the backbone of the small towns like Ball Ground. People that work with our young people, that take time out for them, are the true backbone of America. And you were part of that. And another man that's a part of that too is Gene Norton. Gene Norton's our next speaker, and Gene, I appreciate you too. All these guys right here that's sitting here tonight, and the ladies too, have meant so much to me and have been inspirations to me. And some of them have come up behind me, like Keith Blackwell, and have gone on to the Georgia Supreme Court, and I thought, what in the world happened there? Man, how many places can you go in Georgia that can say that we've got a Supreme Court judge in Georgia? We really raise them good here in Ball Ground. We really do. Gene, thank you. You know, the country air. Gene, thank you for what you've done for young people too. I appreciate you. The first time I even heard about Gene Norton was when I was 4 or 5 years old. My brother comes home with a couple of T-shirts that Gene had found at Ball Ground Elementary School, and he wanted my brother to gift me, and I immediately liked that man. He'd give me gifts, and he was always so friendly. He was always smiling. He was always an inspiration to people that met him and came to know him. And the thing about Raymond and Gene, they were good, godly men too, and man, we need that more than anything today. Man, I wish we had more people like these guys that showed their faith in everything that they do. That when they walked out there, they weren't just a vocal example for people, they were that visual example. And I'll tell you right now, we need that more than anything. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to do me a favor and make welcome our next speaker, one of the best people that I've ever met in my life, Mr. Gene Norton.
Raymond told me this one, and I didn't know it, and I'm going to close with this. And when he told me, I said to myself, you did that, Raymond. After all this I've written down about you 2 weeks ago, I can't believe you did it. Anyway, one of his boys were playing at Macedonia, and one of the boys hit the ball and hit the base. First baseman went out territory, and the runner got to first base. And the umpire said, foul ball. Well, everybody that knows anything about baseball knows that third base and first base are in fair territory. So it was a fair ball. Raymond gets up, he walks out there, he talks to the umpire. Umpire said, foul ball. Raymond said, I sat down on that base and I was gonna sit there and change his mind. Now, you see Raymond Cheshire sitting on the first base. He wasn't arguing with the umpire. He was protecting one of his boys. Finally, the umpire behind the plate overruled the first base umpire. I have many memories of teaching and coaching here at Baldwin. A lot of my students are here tonight. Raymond, doesn't seem like it's been 50 years. But you didn't have gray hair in your head. I didn't either. But it's a joy to be here. Now, we're no stranger to ball ground. Judge Harris is a native of Ball Ground, the son of the late Harold Barber Harris. Jackson attended Ball Ground Elementary School, graduated from Cherokee High School, and received his undergraduate degree from Emory University in Atlanta and his law degree from Mercy University in Atlanta. Judge Harris has been judge in this county for almost 19 years, beginning as a presiding juvenile court judge and now serving as the chief judge of the Superior Court of the Blue Ridge Judicial Circuit. He's been active in his community over the last 34-year legal career, volunteering for many charitable roles. He has served on the boards of the Cherokee Clean Commission and the Boys and Girls Club, as president of the Fan Lake Optimist Club, as PTA president, chairman of the preschool board of the Camp First Methodist Church, and has served as trustee there. He's a graduate of the Chamber's leading Cherokee leadership program, and later served on the steering committee for that organization. In 2001, he served on the Board of Education's Blue Ribbon Committee. Jackson promotes the importance of community and needs of children. As juvenile court judge, he worked to improve court services to abused and neglected children. He continues to work toward court improvement initiatives as a member of the Georgia Council of Superior Court Judges. He lives with his wife Ann in Canton, and they have a daughter Catherine and one son Taylor. Ann taught for many years on the Cherokee County school system. He's also my nephew, and I'm proud of you, Jackson. Harris.
Thank you, Jim, Lucille, and all these speakers. I wanted to thank you for asking me to be a part of this, and I've enjoyed hearing from all these other speakers. Great memories and great stories. Some of them are even true. I hope you'll bear with me because these folks have done a good job with my speech. Only part of it. And just to say, I think that Tim could probably give me a pretty good raise these days. Give you a little background. In my job, I often see people whose lives are a mess. They don't seem to have anyone around them to help them through the tough times. I often think of what their lives might have been if they'd grown up in Ball Ground in my time. I had a deliriously happy childhood, I'll be honest. No question, every day was sunshine. And this is true because of people like Raymond Cheshire. In a small town, young folks don't always have the luxury of hanging out with people their age. There aren't enough people. I lived on the west side of town. Mayor Roberts one time reminded me when I said I'm from Ball Ground, he said, we always lived just outside the city limits. So I still was from Ball Ground. I am from Ball Ground. But anyway, I had friends on the west side, because when I was young, 6, 7, 8 years old, my mother wouldn't let me cross the highway. So I couldn't go to town without her knowing about it, or maybe sometimes when she didn't know. Anyway, I had friends like my cousin Lee Harris, I think she's here, Steve, who spoke here, and we played, and I remember sometime, and 50 years ago, I can't promise you that I got the year. 63, 64, maybe, probably 64, 65. I remember them, we were playing and they were telling us, laughing and talking about how much fun baseball practice was. And so I said, I want to go. And they said, well, you're too young. And but you come watch us practice. So I talked my dad into taking me over to the ball field and watch them practice. And he said, no, you can't play. And I took my glove anyway. So I got over there and watching all these young boys playing ball, getting instruction on fielding and batting from Raymond was magical. Eventually, Raymond wandered on over and spoke to my dad, and a big smile on his face, and said, well, is Jack ready to play ball? And looked down, and I was hopeful, and he said, you're not quite old enough, it'll probably, but next year, we're going to start a Pee Wee team. And I'll put your name down to play there. Well, I obviously wasn't showing that I was happy enough to have to wait another year. So he pulled me away and took me over where some of these boys were throwing balls back and forth. And kind of told them, I remember, I realized that he was kind of being nice. And he said, throw one to him every now and then. So I stood there and the older boys were throwing me the ball, and I was going. In some form or fashion for the next 30 years, I played diamond ball, whether it was baseball or softball or plastic ball. I played ball for 30 years and loved it. And I loved it because I was taught to love it. Because Raymond showed us how to love the game. He wanted to win. Mind you, he was the best. But he never let us lose sight of the fact that it's a game. Play hard, always play fair, always be respectful. He led by example. Never ridiculed a player for their mistake. Instead, he encouraged them to see how to do it. The only time I ever saw Raymond scold a player was for being disrespectful or acting out of bounds. You did that, and you found yourself in the corner of the dugout with a wagging face. But after it was over, and passed him on. And you didn't want to disappoint Raymond again. It wasn't that you just didn't want to hurt him because we respected him so much. I should repeat, we were not scolded for mistakes we made on the field. We were encouraged to do that. I'm even more amazed today to appreciate the level of sacrifice that Raymond gave to the boys of Boston. As an adult, I understand that in the early 60s, Raymond had just started a business. He was trying to build a business and make a life for his family, working all day, hard work, and then spending the rest of his evening giving time to the community. There were practices and games, but there was more than that. To be a part of Little League, you had to follow the rules, and you had to raise, you had to have uniforms and league registration and the like. Raymond and Francis did the heavy lifting when it came time for selling donuts or whatever we did to raise money. But there was a bigger need. And I know Raymond has been a very successful businessman. But I don't think people realize what a persuasive salesman he was. Now, I think Gene mentioned some of the members of the Lions Club, and one of them was Baker Jones. Baker Jones was the prince of a fellow. He was a nice man. He was the father of one of my favorite teachers, Captain Malone. But he was also the president of Ball Grounds Only Bank. And those of you who remember Baker Jones know that he was a very conservative banker. It was hard to get along with Mr. Jones. So, can you? A vintage suit, I might add, that I probably can't wear. Now, I suspect that Raymond will confirm the practices and games were the easy part. Scheduling and transportation were the hard part. If Raymond was the coach and general manager of our team, Francis was the sports information director. I can't imagine how in the days before cell phone, emails, when it was a long distance call to Macedonia or Freon, or Clayton, how they were able to do what they did. We'd have a rain out, and it'd be toward the end of the season. It mattered. So they'd get half a day's notice or 1 day's notice, and we got a makeup game. Francis would get on the phone. She'd start calling, and every time, not just some of the time, but every time, she would say, now if your parents can't get away, we'll come by and pick you up. Now my parents came to games, but not all of them. I think they were very supportive when we played ball. But I think they also wanted to make sure I knew that it was just a game, that that wasn't the most important thing. So they didn't come playing first base when I started, because I played left-handed. Raymond let me try my hand at pitching, and he liked my speed, but struggled with my control. A typical game for me in Little League was a 6-inning game, mind you, was about 12 strikeouts and 14 walks. During games, Raymond, now I hope I don't tell on him, but he chewed a little tobacco back in the early days, and he would stand at the end of the dugout, nearest the plate. And I recall a particularly off game where Raymond was in position and giving me a signal to try to settle down, and maybe not being too bad out of control. And I was wild. The more I threw, the wilder I got. The more I tried, the wilder I got. Finally, one really got away and went over the backstop. Well, I thought Raymond was going to swallow that chew as he was laughing coming out to the mound. And I was frustrated, but when I saw Raymond, I knew it was all right. When I gave him the ball and left the mound, I knew it was just a bad day. But I also knew, like we all did, that there'd be other days and it would still be fun. Be respectful. Show sportsmanship and compete with enthusiasm. Those were the values Raymond taught us. He didn't preach to us. He showed us. He showed us by the way he lived. He showed us by the way he acted. I've heard about how Raymond didn't argue with the umpire, and that's a true statement. But when an umpire made an especially bad call, I clearly remember a very loud, "Oh!" down at the end of the dugout. That was the end of it. The umpires, he got their attention, but they respected him. And that respect paid off in a lot of ways, especially in times when we were struggling to make sure we got enough people on the field before we had to forfeit. If you had to respect the umpires, you probably got a few extra minutes. And I had a friend a few years back, I won't take you for it. I had a friend a few years back whose son played travel ball. They have that now. And he was on the road, going out of town all the time, practicing 4 or 5 days a week, and getting professional instruction. This is an 8-year-old, mind you, maybe 9-year-old. And I asked my friend, I said, does your son ever play ball out in the front yard just on Saturday? And he said, no, he never does. He plays practice and a game. And I thought that was sad. It's a testimony to the dedication, the sacrifice, the attitude of Raymond Cheshire that I can safely say that I probably played more baseball in my front yard in Mark Holcomb's cow pasture than I ever did on an organized game. And why was that? Because he taught us a love for the game. It wasn't a job. It was fun. It was a game. It was a way to have a good time with people that you gave. He showed us love and respect, and he earned it in return. See, Raymond is an example, and these people have already said this. He's an example of a group of adults in this town who raised all of us children here. They loved us all like they were their own. They praised us when we did well, and they reined us in when we veered off the path. Proud to be here with you, Raymond. Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judge Harris. And it has been so wonderful for me to hear all of this reminiscing. It's been heartwarming, and that's what a small, friendly village is like. Aren't we proud? Aren't we blessed to live here? Our oldest son played for Raymond, and I can't go any further without telling this, since everyone has shared a tale of some sort. I asked Randy, our oldest son, I said, what do you remember about Raymond as a coach? He said, well, Mom, I never did see him smoke, I never did see him drink, and I never did hear him curse. He was always an example in behavior for us. And to me, that says everything. I want to introduce now Mr. Mickey O'Malley. He is on the City Council of Ball Ground, and he is in charge of parks and recreation. He's a baseball lover, a former baseball coach, and he coached his own son, I do believe, and he has lived in Ball Ground. You will know from his voice that he hasn't lived here forever, but he loves us and we love him, and I want you to welcome Mr. Mickey O'Malley.
Thank you for the introduction, Ms. Rich, and I want to thank the Historical Society for inviting me here. You know, I sit there for the last hour listening to a group of men that I never knew. Mr. Cheshire, I did not grow up in this town, but after listening to what I just heard and what I've heard over the last 25 years that I've been here, I wish I had the opportunity to be here when I was younger to play ball for you. But what I'm going to do right now, I was asked by the Historical Society to come here to recognize players that played in Ball Ground over the last 50 years. But before they do that, I want to tell my story a little bit. Miss Rich just just let everybody here know that I'm not from Ball Ground, I'm actually from up north. And my wife, who's sitting out in the audience, and I were looking for a home. And she's from the south and I'm from up north, and I've never lived in a small town. We drove into Ball Ground and I looked around and I thought, I don't know if I can do this. You can't order a pizza, you cannot get Chinese food delivered. I had never seen anything like it. But the one thing I saw was the Lions Club field. And I got attracted to it because I love sports. And my goal was to have a family with my wife. And lo and behold, we had 2 boys. And I've been here 25 years, so I saw the field, and they were little. I used to take them up there, and I couldn't wait for them to grow old enough to get on the field and hopefully coach and get involved. But I still did not know anything about Mr. Cheshire, or at one time Tim was my neighbor, got to know him. Jackson Harris and his families all went to my church, Ball Ground, which I attend right now. And almost everybody in this audience I've had something to do with at one time or another in the 25 years I've been here. And if anybody knows me in this audience, I am passionate to Ball Ground. I consider this my home. I don't even think of myself as a northerner. I think of myself as a true Ball Ground person. But Mr. Cheshire, over the years, what happened was, as soon as my son turned 4 years old, I was asked by Tony Jones to get involved in baseball, and I was so elated I couldn't. My wife knows, I got to do this right now. I got to get involved. As soon as I started getting involved, the first name I heard was names like Mr. Cheshire and things that were happening. I wasn't used to this. I can't even match the stories that Mr. Stansel was telling. And Mr. Norton, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've always heard about you. But I didn't know, I never knew I didn't know any of these folks. But what I did find out was there's an integrity in the town of Ball Ground like there is nowhere else in this whole world. I have never in my life, over 25 years, felt the passion that these people that we're sitting with today in the audience, surrounding me here. I don't even feel like I should be standing here because these people are such great, for a small town. I am so privileged to be part of this. So we started, I got to coach, and I started coaching. Well, last night I read Mr. Cheshire, if you look at your program, his philosophy of coaching. And without really reading that, I live by that whole motto right there. So I try to continue passing on what you started. And I've been involved in it ever since. I got involved in the council so that I could get on Parks and Rec and continue to grow on our fields and make you proud of what we have in Ball Ground, and make Mr. Stansel and all the rest of the gentlemen that I've met tonight proud of what we have in Ball Ground. Things have changed over the years. I got to meet a different generation of people. I didn't get to do anything with any of these folks. I've known Karen a long time, but a lot of people in the audience, I coached with Barry. Where's Barry? I coached with Barry. I coached against Barry is what I did. And I was privileged. I think most everybody here knows Kenny Murphy. Kenny and I have sons that are the same age, and we started together in baseball when our boys were 4 and 5 years old. And ever since that day, I have tried my hardest, Mr. Cheshire, to do exactly what you said. I try to have pride and dignity. I try to consider myself a Ball Ground resident. I didn't allow people to come to Ball Ground and disgrace our city or our town. And then once I got involved in the city council, I wanted things to improve so you'd be proud and so all the rest of these gentlemen would be. And over the last couple of years, if anybody has seen what the city has done, we used to be, I don't know how it was when you guys were younger, but when I came here, the county was involved with the parks. Now our city owns our parks. We continue to call it Lions Field and always will. We have the softball field behind us. If anybody's ever seen, we have added a 3rd field for the younger kids. And if you go out there right now and watch the kids play on that field, it is such a thrill for me to go out there and watch little boys who can hit a home run over a fence and not let it just roll out to the fence. So some of those things are things we've added, Mr. Cheshire, to make you feel good about it. And I see you almost every day standing right out there. I come by here every day and I see you. And my boys are older now, so I don't coach anymore. They're 22 and 24 and they're out in college and doing different things. But I still keep a hand in all the programs that we run in ball ground. And over the years, I just wanted to mention to everybody that some of the improvements that we've made, and some people might not be aware of this. I think Eric, our city manager, is here. Him and I worked real hard with my committee, and we got a grant from the county for $1 million to put into these fields. And we spent that $1 million the best we could to put irrigation on the field so that we could keep the field moist and dry when it's a dry season. And we went ahead and improved the concession stand. And we improved our bathrooms. We've made it a state-of-the-art parks, and we're proud of that here in Ball Ground. If you look behind us right now, we still represent ourselves in a rec league. I don't know did you have that when you were younger? We are part of the North Cherokee Baseball Association. We are Ball Ground Youth Baseball inside of North Cherokee Baseball Association, which is part of Dizzy Dean Baseball. That's how things have changed over the years. But it's changed so dramatically, yet I can't remember who mentioned it, but we have travel ball teams now. And if you look in the back, we have a group of boys that are standing there now that are eager to be announced. And they represent our travel ball team in Ball Ground. And what they do is they bring, it's sensational, they bring tournaments in the Ball Ground weekly, and they bring people from all over the state to come up here to play. And then come to Ball Ground and they can't believe how beautiful Ball Ground is. And I'm only talking about this because you made it happen, Mr. Cheshire. You brought that field, and I'm proud to be part of that, so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Now enough about myself and how I got started here. I believe that we're supposed to introduce any player I can, so I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to do it my way. What I'd like to do is, I'd like for everybody in here who played baseball at one time or another in Ball Ground in the 60s to stand up so we could recognize you. Is there anybody here who played ball in the 60s? I would assume that, I think earlier, Mr. Stansel, you touched on it. Mr. Blackwell, you all must have played with and for Mr. Cheshire, is that correct? And it sounds like, I look around the audience and I know just about everybody standing, and you guys are just tremendous young men, older men now, leaders in our community. I look around and see every one of you, and it really sounds like you were responsible for that, Mr. Cheshire. So again, thank you so much, and thank you all for everything you do. Let's go to the 70s now. Let's everybody sit down. Who played ball in Ball Ground on these fields in the 70s? Okay, we've got a few people standing up. Okay, now let's jump to the 1980s. Anybody here play ball? Oh, look at this, Mr. Blackwell. All right, and then we're going to jump into 1990s. Anybody here in the 1990s that played ball? Oh, good. As I'm doing this, the reason I did it this way, because I want you to see how responsible you are, how this continued. This never stopped, Mr. Cheshire. This never stopped from 50 years ago. Oh my goodness. Stand up again, let me see. Okay, now we're going to jump into 2000s. Anybody play ball when I was around? Anybody who coached or anybody who played ball or coached, stand up now. Kenny, stand up. You're a coach. Mike. Here we go. Let's give them all a hand for that. All right, now let's ask a big question. Do we have anybody here that plays rec ball and baseball in ball ground today, right now? Anybody here who's playing ball right now? Well, I know we have about 80 to 100 boys that are playing in our rec league right now, but I'll be real honest with you. I'll show you how much times have changed. Most of them are football players and basketball players that are wrestling, and they couldn't make it because they're out doing all kinds of different activities right now. That's just the way the times are today. But I'm proud to tell you that we have a rec league that consists of about 100 players. I've seen the league as strong as 200 players in a year, so it's always been there for you, Mr. Cheshire. At this time, what I'd like to do is, we have a travel ball team that I mentioned. Mr. Broussard is responsible for this. Mike Broussard came to me one day after we got our fields all in the position we got them in, and he asked if he could represent ball ground with his travel ball team. You know, I didn't know how to take that, because I was a rec league player all my life with the boys, my boys, and a lot of people don't want to see a rec team, travel team come in and take over their fields. It's just, but I met Mike and I met the boys, and some of them are from ball ground, but some of them aren't, some of them are from the county. And I want you to know this is one of the best group of boys and leaders that I've ever seen. They're out here, they practice 2-3 times a week on our field, and they play every weekend in the tournament. And they have done so much for our city. A lot of our businesses are benefiting from people that come in here on Saturdays. If anybody has driven by and you see it going on a Saturday or Sunday, we'll see the amount of people that they bring in here. So with that said, I'm going to actually introduce each one of them if I could. So what I was going to do is ask them, once I say your name, if you'll come up here and stand up front, and by the end, when I'm done, everybody will be up front and we can give them all an applause. So let's start with the actual program director and head coach. This is Mike's son, Raymond Cheshire. Ryan's walking up. I will tell you, Ryan played rec baseball here in ball ground. I believe, Ryan, you're 21? 20? Ryan's one of the best young men I've ever met in my life, and again, proud to know him and proud for him to be a part of ball ground. His dad is the head coach for Team Maroon, Mike Broussard. Come on up. Assistant coach of the Team Navy, Tom Luckhurst. And assistant coach of Team Maroon, Blair Batterberry. Mr. Cheshire, these 4 men you'd be proud of. They carry a real, true ethic, belief, and teach the boys exactly what you would want to teach them. So they're continuing your beliefs. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. We'll go ahead and name the team. All right. Number 35, Matthew Adams. Number 7, Evan Atkinson. Number 8, Hunter Barnes. Number 2, Mason Batterby. Number 77, Aiden Bergeron. Number 25, Logan Bergeron. This is a local boy. This is a local ball ground boy. Andon Bird. Mike, have I missed any other ball ground boys yet? Hunter Barnes also is from Ball Ground. You let me know if they are or not. George Dell, number 3. Number 21, Will Eccles. Number 10, Harrison Fisher. Number 20, Tony Hanlos. Number 15, Trent Luckhurst. Number 1, Braden Moyer. Number 99, Kyle O'Neill. Number 4, Daniel Schillisler. Number 14, Corbin Sullivan. Number 19, Mason Toole. Number 29, Drew Van Buren. And number 16, Hayden Wells. And boys, you heard all these gentlemen up here talk about their past and what Mr. Cheshire represents. So you have to keep that legacy going for this town. And I know you guys will continue to do that for us. Let's just give them a big round of applause. Thank you for playing here. Before I get done, because I'll talk longer than they probably want me to, but is Allison Martin here? Allison, can you stand up? I think Allison is the only board member that's here from the rec league. Is that right, Allison? I just wanted everybody to recognize Allison. She works real hard to keep our rec league going, and she'll be on the board again this year. Possibility of being president. She's shaking her head no, but she might have to. Anyway, let's give Allison a hand for what she does. And again, I want you to know it's a privilege to stand here. I really don't even feel like I should be up here with you, all you guys. It's just, I wish I could have had my childhood here in Ball Ground, but I got to tell you, for 25 years I've had my childhood here in Ball Ground. I've had my second childhood, and I couldn't find a better place to do it. So, with that being said, Mr. Cheshire, thank you very much for what you did. Appreciate it.
It is something special to be from Ball Ground, and it just warms my heart when I think of everything I've heard tonight and the shining stars that have spoken to us that grew up here and haven't forgotten us as they've moved forward with their life. It's my privilege now to welcome a representative from the city of Ball Ground, Miss Karen Jordan. We refer to her as Miss Ball Ground a lot of times, and she has something special to say.
Thank you, Lucille. I'm here tonight on behalf of Mayor Roberts, who is out of town and couldn't be here. At the last council meeting, we passed a resolution, and I'm going to read that, Raymond, in your honor here. Get my glasses on here. Whereas Raymond Cheshire will be honored by friends and family on October the 27th, 2015, as the Ball Ground Historical Society celebrates 50 years of baseball in Ball Ground. And whereas our nation's heritage is based on citizen involvement and citizen participation, volunteerism is of enormous benefit in building a better community, a better sense of one's own well-being, and whereas volunteering is a powerful force of the solution of human problems, and the creative use of human resources is essential to a healthy, productive, and human society. Whereas Raymond Cheshire, through his years of coaching baseball, has been a positive influence on hundreds of children in our community. And whereas Raymond Cheshire has for over 50 plus years owned and operated a business in the city of Ball Ground, which has provided jobs to area residents. Now therefore, I, A.R. Roberts III, Mayor of the City of Ball Ground, and the Ball Ground City Council do hereby proclaim October 28th, 2015 to be Raymond Cheshire Day in the City of Ball Ground. to give to Raymond on behalf of the city. And we talked about this, and Rick and I, and he said, you know, I know Raymond. I can't speak about baseball when I talk about Raymond. I speak of Raymond. As a business person and what he means to our church. Raymond is a deacon at Short Mountain Church, and I don't know for how long, but as long as I've been going there for well over 30 years. So this quote came to me, and it's on the plaque. I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness or abilities that I can show to any fellow creature, let me do it now. Let me not defer it nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. That is a quote by William Penn. And that just came to me when we started talking about this for Raymond. So that's the beginning of the plaque. And it's presented to Raymond Cheshire this 27th day of October, 2015, for the difference he made not only in his life, but the lives of others, and to the community in which he lived by, simply giving of himself. City of Ball Ground Mayor Rick Roberts and City Council. And it's a pleasure to give Raymond this. Like I said, I know Raymond on a different level from being a business person in the city and from church. Can't talk about baseball or anything, but I talk about it from my heart, from what he means to our church and to this community. Raymond, I love you. I love Francis, and I wish she was here tonight to share in this. And after I've written it, I wish I had put Francis's name on it, but didn't think about that. I thought, well, just Raymond. But I know she's here with us in spirit tonight. And thank you for all that you've done.
Raymond, would you like to say a word? We're so proud of you.
I didn't consider this work. I worked all day and I come in home. This was relaxing for me. I enjoyed working with the children, and it gave us a chance for the family to be together. My wife worked in the concession stand for his boss. And taking him every way she could. And we transported kids because we played in different communities. And I enjoyed every bit of it, and I've heard some things that I had forgot about through the years. I just thank the Lord for giving me this opportunity to coach and to have all of you here tonight to my friend. I got one other thing that I helped back from these boys that I want to tell you, and I'll slow down. I know you're probably getting tired, especially you that are standing up. Had this boy from Nelson, and I won't say who he is, came and wanted to play Little League ball. We needed a ball player, so we put him right in a uniform and put him out on the field. Well, he said he was a pitcher, so we put him on the mound. We went to the field and he struck out the side, come in the bat, and he come up the bat and he hit a home run. As he come around third base, all of the spectators were sitting there in the bleachers, and he looked at him right in a funny way and tipped his hat and says, "You ain't seen nothing yet." So that's not my idea of work. I enjoyed every bit of it, and I appreciate all of you that's here tonight. Appreciate it. And I appreciate the Lord giving me this opportunity. So, I want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank the ones that done all this work to set this up, because I do know it's been a hard and job to get all this done in the short period of time that they've done. So, thank you all, and I appreciate it very much.
We do thank you all for being here, and we know that you all are just like I am. You're here to honor Raymond because of his dedication and his spirit of community that is so desirable. And isn't it wonderful to be from a small community that's just friendly and full of love? I'm so blessed to grow up in Ball Ground and to still count myself. Even though I don't live in the city limits, I tell everybody I'm from Ball Ground community. We will have food now, and you can reminisce with each other and visit. And this is almost like a reunion. So we'll just be dismissed for food. Oh, and we do have fundraiser items, by the way. The Historical Society has a table over here. We have historical bags, Christmas ornaments, calendars for next year. Makes wonderful Christmas gifts. And the calendars are of churches in the area. So take a look at them and enjoy the food. Thanks for coming.